The Ice Age franchise has so many freaking characters. Some are unstoppable forces of nature, others serve as great comic relief, and then there's this garbage. Today, we're gonna look at all the major characters across the Ice Age saga and rank them from worthless to elite. Let's kick things off with the three amigos, Manny, Diego, and Sid. Manny's the main character here. He's the biggest, strongest guy for a majority of the series and proves his loyalty, bravery, and heroics over and over again. There's no question about this. Elite. Despite Diego being arguably just as capable, he's a bit more nuanced. In the first movie, he sets them up to be ambushed and kinda redeems himself with the sacrifice. In the second, he's mostly just afraid of water and gets outsmarted by Dumb and Dumber. In the third one, he abruptly abandons the herd after making Sid stay at the end of the meltdown. Then the fourth one makes him weaker than the new female tiger, and the fifth one makes him more of a background character. So yeah, highly inconsistent, but looking at the rest of these characters, he at least holds his own and regularly comes in clutch for the gang, so we'll put him up alongside Manny. As for Sid, I can't give him a lead. He's the comic relief and one of the best characters in the franchise, but he's the laughingstock of the group, even if he's the gooey, sticky stuff that keeps them all together. Despite his physical and mental shortcomings though, he pulls through on multiple occasions and does more than you'd expect from a typical screw-up.
5 minutes later.
He can't hang with the behemoths of the series, but he's a great character. Ellie is a pretty big drop-off from those guys. Outside from thinking she's a possum for most of her introductory film, she's not the brightest, is super stubborn, and gets trapped at the end of the movie, needing Manny to risk his life to save her. It does tell their love story pretty well, but after the second movie, she loses all her edge and is mostly just wifey. She's preggers throughout Dawn of the Dinosaurs, and she's doing typical mom stuff in 4 and 5, so I can't give her much credit at all. Honestly, she's kinda poorly written, and same thing for her daughter, Peaches. She's supposed to be the stereotypical teenage girl that wants to be rebellious, and Manny's gotta play the overprotective father, so she's not only a bad character, but she drags down her dad too. She also was just a jerk to Lewis in the fourth movie, and after he arcs out and saves her at the end, he's just not heard from again. And on the topic of Lewis, this dude's underrated. He's a great friend, and even though he's a freaking mole, he stands up to the big bad guys. I like this tier for him. But back to Peaches, she does contribute a bit for the final battle in Continental Drift, where she's seen being pretty capable and taken after her father, but that doesn't make her a good character. Granny takes Sid's dumb style of humor, cranks it up to 70, and somehow makes it work. I love how she was calling for her lost pet throughout Continental Drift, and everyone thought it was just average senile nonsense, but then it turns out to be real and comes in clutch to basically save everyone at the end. That was funny and mega useful. She's also shown to fend for herself on multiple occasions, more so than Sid, so I'm gonna put her right alongside her grandson, even if she is only in the latter two films, and Precious goes just a tier below that as a small but good character. Crash and Eddie are some of the worst characters in these movies. They make Sid and his grandmother look smart. Their shared brain cell is intolerable to watch at times, with almost every joke crossing the line from so stupid it's funny to so stupid it's just freaking stupid. Both of these guys are worthless. We already have comic relief, thank you very much. Brooke is how you know these writers were out of ideas and on Adderall. They just had to give everybody a love interest throughout these movies, and where other characters were worked in at least a little more naturally, this is just pathetic. Old lady being kept young in a meteorite, getting engaged to Sid a whole 12 minutes in annoying the guy, desperation at its finest. Worthless. And for some reason, the slot that broke up with Sid at the beginning of Collision Course is on this list, so she's going there too. Had like 10 seconds of screen time. Why is this here? Buck Wild is everyone's favorite little weasel guy, and he even got his own spin-off movie that I refuse to watch. Hey, if they're not gonna put any effort and budget into it, why should I give it any of my attention? This dude plays a major role in both Dawn of the Dinosaurs and Collision Course, acting as basically the tour guide in both films, and while he's got some pretty great moments in the third film, he really falls off by number 5. You can tell they only kept him around because he was beloved by fans, and they didn't know what to do with him. The fact that he's just casually living among all these dinosaurs at the size he is, while also battling them day and night, makes him seem like a straight-up badass. But then he has this psychotic loner side that makes him more relatable. He's elite in the third one, then kinda goes down the drain, but is still a wildly capable leader whenever he's around, so I'll say great character tier. I don't know this guy's name, but I am a sucker for fart jokes, and this is one of my favorites. Manny thinks he hears a mammoth, and it's this freaking guy after eating a Chipotle bowl he left out in his car overnight. Well, don't that put the stink in extinction? I love it, and it's why I made this tier. And yes, it's above Ellie and Peaches, because he serves his purpose as well as he could, while these two feel more like a straight-to-DVD side plot. The dodo birds have a pretty iconic scene in the first Ice Age flick, making an ass out of themselves trying to defend their melons, and making Sid look like prime Barry Sanders. They were pretty worthless, but they improved the viewing a decent bit, so I'll give them some flowers for that. Then we got Sid's mom, so we'll address the whole rest of his family here. Yeah, these guys are scumbags. They abandon Sid at the start of the first movie and basically leave him for dead, but we don't actually see him until the fourth one, where they reunite with Sid, make him feel all welcomed and loved again, just to flee minutes later and dump Granny off on him. I mean, joke's on them, these are the two best members of the fam, but they're incredibly irredeemable, unlikable, and yes, worthless. Fast Tony is your classic sleazy salesman, but I gotta hand it to him. Bro is adaptable and always trying to make a quick buck, a true venture capitalist. The flood's coming, he tries selling snorkels. Friend dies, sell his frickin' shell. He goes up to an ox 10 times his size and has the audacity to sell her a weight loss plan. Then when the husband defends her, he offers a cure for his blindness. Dude has no morals, but he's hilariously unfiltered, plays into the hysteria in the second film, and is entertaining whenever he gets screen time. So he's on the higher end of funny that one time, because he has multiple great scenes. His friend Stu, though, sleeping with the fishes, worthless. The 3 dino birds from Collision Course all made the list, and they're all pretty distinct characters. Gavin, the Ron Swanson voiced one, is the leader, and kickstarts their entire quest to stop the herd from saving the world, and Gertie, his kid, backs up everything he says. But the skinny one, Roger, questions their logic sometimes, and gets scrutinized and abused for it. Great family dynamic right there. They're a problem throughout the movie, but in the end, after they realize their lives are at risk as well, they help the heroes and get the giant crystal almost where it needs to be, before getting shot out of the sky. There's no way they could have stopped the asteroid without them, so while they start off as roadblocks, they come in clutch. Roger gets small but good, and the other two are mixed bags. The pirate crew from Continental Drift all played pretty basic roles. The seal, badger, kangaroo, and bunny are typical henchmen that don't have much depth and blindly serve Captain Gut no matter what. They're not worthless, but they're not particularly well written either, so they'll go just above bottom tier. Now, She-Ra is part of that group too, and is probably the strongest of the minions, but she eventually falls for Diego and backstabs the bad guys, which helps him out a ton. She's reluctant to join the herd at first, being loyal to the pirates and a major thorn in the rear, but she's just as, if not more capable than Diego, and isn't another weakling trying to take advantage of protection from mammoths. Honestly, she's a pretty great character. Even if her being here in the first place is just so Diego can fall in love, the way she's worked in is really enjoyable. As for Mr. Captain Gut himself, I think he's an awesome villain. He's only prominent in one film, but I won't hold that against him. He's super powerful, strong-willed, gets more and more unhinged throughout the movie, and is a great juxtaposition to Manny. And their duel at the end is so freaking cinematic and beautiful. One of the most peak moments in this franchise. His sea shanty is kinda cringe, but there's no denying this ape's got aura. He's a great character. The little chipmunk dudes from the fourth movie aren't the strongest batch of mammals out there, but they serve their purpose and then some. The fact that only Sid can communicate with them is pretty funny, and they successfully divert attention away from the herd so they can steal the new ship and get back home. It's a tiny role, but they're a vital part of the plan and crush it, so... Julian is the new piece Peaches finds before the fifth film. Well, I guess screw that little mole hog. This dude's such a tryhard in front of her dad, and it's kinda unwatchable at times, but the ending of this movie gives him about the best moment he could have. He and Manny are both trying to push the crystal where it needs to go, to no avail, so he hatches the plan that ends up saving the planet, which is pretty darn redeeming. I hate to give him a higher placement than Peaches or Ellie, but he does kinda save the world, so even if he's generic and not well written, I'll give him a bit of credit. Mama Dino from Ice Age 3 doesn't do all that much. She takes her kids back from Sid, scares the crap out of the above ground folk, and just minds her business with her family for the rest of it. She feeds the babies and is even nice enough to help Sid here and there, after seeing how much she genuinely cares for her little dinos. Her best moment though is when Sid's basically a goner for Rudy's lunch, and she steps in, trucks the biggest dinosaur in the land, and pushes him off a cliff. Impressive. She has almost no screen time and doesn't say a word, but it's a really really good role overall. And we might as well cover Rudy here too. That moment was a bad look for him, and losing a tooth to Buck the Weasel ain't so great either. But this dino domain is his for the ruling, and he's the top of the food chain. He's also the closest thing to a villain in this movie, if you had to give him some kind of title, but his prominence and image is more built on fear than anything, and we see him lose multiple times, so he's kinda a mixed bag. Neil the Buck Weasel threw me way the heck off when I first saw him, and yeah, he was pretty cool to see, got some laughs out of me, and that's it. Okay, do we still hate the Ice Age baby? I don't know what started that trend, but it was huge some years ago, and yeah, he's not very useful here for obvious reasons, he's a friggin' baby. But with Ice Age 6 right around the corner, speculation's been brewing that he'll be all grown up now and maybe be the antagonist this time, so this placement could be subject to some change. For now though, bro was last seen filling his trousers in Worthless. Finally, we got our boy Scrat.
Elite.
I gotta put him in Elite. He doesn't interact with other characters much. When he does, it's usually pretty funny, but he's better known for causing the natural disasters that kickstart the main conflict and force the herd onto a quest. Maybe he's the underlying villain of this entire series, disguised as a comic relief, but I still love this guy. Scratte, on the other hand, was another lousy attempt to make a female version of a beloved character, and she's just toxic to him. The two fight throughout Dawn of the Dinosaurs, then Scrat saves her, and the two fall in love, and then she gets way too bossy for the guy, and it's back to acorn antics. She serves to give Scrat a fun dilemma, and that's it. So not worthless, but not very well written either. The Shangri-Lama, and really all the dudes inside Geotopia, are worthless. They're clueless, disconnected from the world, and don't do anything to help. Pretty easy placements. Diego's pack of sabers from the first Ice Age are like the Dino Birds in that they're all pretty different characters. Soto is the leader of the pack and the big bad guy for the first film. He's the toughest, smartest one that Diego wants to prove himself to, until he doesn't. His role isn't that big, but the conflict he presents for Diego makes his character arc so interesting, and he's clearly the most frightening of all the sabers, so his role may be small, but it's very quality. The other guys, though, I mean, Zeke is way too finicky and goofy, which cost them in the end, so worthless. And Lenny, the bigger cat, may be a more level-headed foodie, but he's equally bottom of the barrel. The last saber, though, Oscar, is kinda second in command to Soto, and expressed disapproval for Diego throughout the movie. He didn't make this list for some reason, but he'd be a mixed bag. The two I guess you could call evil sea creatures from Ice Age 2 are the closest thing this movie has to bad guys, and they're really just hungry boys trying to get some dinner. They thaw out thanks to, well, the meltdown, and attack the herd a couple times, their last attempt being particularly close, until Manny uses their own size and speed against them to take him down. I wouldn't say their role is good, they really don't do much, but they add to the urgency of the film, and for that, let's go mixed bag for both. And last but not least, because why not, the vulture that warns everyone about the flood in Ice Age 2. Why does he do this? He even says,
The more of you die, the better I eat.
So why would he even give him a fighting chance? I don't know, the fear tactics are real, and the Food Glorious Food song is pretty great too. It's a small role, but I like it. And there you have it.